you've been there in the fight on the First Amendment on the
Yes.
the abortion clinics.
I think that was the first time I spoke in the well, was that Stand Your Ground.
That's right.
Stand Your Ground bill. I feel very strongly about that because when I was young, I'm an opera singer, and when I was training in New York City or when I had to go live in Vienna, there were long periods of time that as a single woman, I was living by myself in these large cities because you usually have opera in large metropolitan cities, areas. And I told the story in the well I had never spoken about before. My family knew. But I told the story about I've been mugged 3 times.
Oh, wow.
And I think I only talked about 2 on the floor. But I tell you what, I was just, when I read the bill and I saw that they were trying to roll it back, this past session, I thought I was so lucky to escape.
Twice we had to fight that.
Twice.
Really?
That's right.
We beat it back twice.
Right.
To get out of those situations relatively unharmed twice 3 times was lucky.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what? At 54 years old, I'm not running anymore. I'm too old to run. And I can't believe that anybody would put a bill in that would tell me I would have to,
Right.
especially if I have my son with me.
Yeah.
Don't tell me I cannot protect myself if we are in harm's way in a parking lot some way in my car. What, Second Amendment? Hello? Just
Right.
to me that, again, is insanity. Where does that come from? How could anybody go with that?
That's something I can never figure out there because, we actually fought for when we tied up the House on the first gun bill. I think it was 288, something like that. But anyway, I was so shocked that the Senate sent another bill over for a study on this here again.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
244, you mean?
244, yes.
Well, that was the strangest melding of bills, too, as that whole process was going forward. Basically, it looked like, and the NRA wasn't going to jump in on that bill. They stayed silent on 244. But it was the beginning, the truth of the bill was it was the opening the door to begin a registry to connect mental health with guns. Okay? And when you really looked at it, it wasn't going to do the job that they supposedly wanted it to do because it would affect people in a way that you couldn't draw the line at all. I mean, if you came home and you had post-traumatic stress syndrome, from fighting in the war, are you going toward are you starting to make the decision that somehow you shouldn't be able to have a gun?
That's what would happen. That veteran would come home and lose his rights.
Right. It was the beginning of it. It was insidious. But you see, it looked on its surface like, well, it was just a study, and we're going to allow people who have lost their guns a way to get their gun back from the federal government, right? So they were able, what the deal was, and this is why I say sometimes you have to be really careful. You have to read and pay attention to not necessarily what's said on the floor, but what's said behind.
Right.
Because the deal was to try to get that registry thing going undercover, that somehow it was going to be good because those that lost the guns had a conduit through which to get their gun back.
Oh, okay.
Right.
I said, and I still believe it, you want to give the conduit back, and it should happen, then do the bill. And keep it clean. And stop trying to sneak the registry in the back door. Why can't we do that? Why can't we do that? That's sensible. It serves both sides, right?
Right.
But the political process sometimes just doesn't let us do the right thing.
Where was David